Hi there everybody, on today's video I have this VW Golf 2016, I think it's a Mark 7. I'm going to be changing the oil and the oil filter. This is a 1.4 TSI. This is the oil filter I'm going to be using, Malay OC977. And also I'm going to check the coolant. Now the coolant is located in this tank here. If you get that cover open, I'm just gonna check the percentage of antifreeze in it with this little gadget. That pretty much gives us an idea. So that's showing me about, it's just settling at around -20 or so. So it means this coolant, for this to freeze, will have to be -20 or so. It's actually settling a little bit more on -24 or so. Also with this kit I can see that the fluid, it's fairly clean, it's not dirty, and you can see the color as well. It's sort of orangey pink. Also the coolant quantity, we can just about see we have a minimum mark here. This line will be the minimum, and we really want to be up here. This is just on this line, which is okay. But if you found your coolant to be below, then you need to find out why. You may have a leak or something. If the coolant is at the minimum, it sometimes it's okay. It just depends when was the last time you checked it, and you may need to top it up. But if it's just been a few months and you find that this is at the minimum, it could keep going down, so it may be that you have a leak somewhere. So we're gonna just empty that, so that should be good for next winter. Gonna close this off, close it until it clicks, and we're gonna concentrate on the oil and the oil filter. So to start, I'm going to pull the dipstick here and open the oil fill cap. I'm gonna leave those just open there, and we're gonna drain the oil from underneath, and we're gonna tackle the filter from underneath as well. So I'm gonna get the car up on the ramp now. Okay, so looking at the car from underneath, got the sump here. I've got this sump plug bolt. I'm gonna use a 19mm socket to undo it. Just crack that open, and make sure you have an oil pan to catch the oil. And also just remember, if the engine is being running, the oil might be very hot, so don't burn yourself. In this case, the oil is just a little bit warm, so it's okay. And also, you might notice the oil filter hiding up there, so I'm just going to remove this plastic cover while that is draining, and we can access the filter. And this cover is just held in by some Torx, 6 of them as far as I'm aware. Oh, there might be one more in the middle there, and those are like a T20. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so there was actually 8 Torx that removed that cover. That cover then just slides out. It's just clipped on these bits here, just push the clips and take it out. So you got access to the filter here. I'm gonna use one of these tools to remove that filter. This is a 7614. That's written in there. A little bit difficult to see, but that's what's in there. Get that onto the filter, and technically that shouldn't be too tight, which that wasn't. So make sure you have your oil pan underneath as well, because some oil may actually leak from there. Okay, so here we have our new filter. Let's get it out of the box. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply a little bit of grease around this O-ring here. And for me that just helps the rubber go in there nicely without getting damaged or anything. It just slides in and accommodates itself a little bit better. So that's where we can put it on. And we don't need any tools for tightening this, just do it by hand. Okay, and that's it. We can then put our plastic cover here, and also I've got a new copper washer here to go in there, as this one is a little bit pressed in now. So I can dispose of that. And while I put the cover back on here, I'm going to let that drain a little bit more, and then I'm going to close that. I'm also going to clean this with a little bit of paper, just so I know there's no drips there. So that's been dripping for some time. Just gonna get my sun plug bolt in there with the new copper washer, and we can then close that. No need to over tighten this. What do they recommend these days? About, I don't know, 14 to 22 Newton meters to close that, which is not a lot of force. We're just basically pretty much pressing that copper washer a little bit so it creates a seal. So just clean the area, that way we know there's no leaks. And if you, after you put the oil, you run the engine, if you check down here, if you see anything dripping, you could tighten that a little bit more, a fraction, but not much. Obviously, if you found that it's leaking a lot, maybe the washer is damaged, but you don't want to wash, you don't want to damage the thread, obviously. So that's normally, I never really have a problem with that. So I usually just tighten that very lightly, just as long as it's nice and snug in there. Okay, so I'm gonna lower the car now and I'm gonna top up some oil. So now I'm going to top up some oil. Technical data I found for this, it states 4 liters, and I'm using a 5W30 here, and that's where the oil goes. Also, the manual shows you the dipstick and it just shows you that this end is the max, this bit here is the max, this bit here is the minimum. So as I top the oil, we can check how much is going in there. So I'm gonna start topping the oil in there, and I will get back to it once I've done it. Not great. Okay, so got the oil in. If you look at the quantities, I can just about see this is at the top there. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it's at the top. It's a little bit above the top, and that's because once I run the engine, some of that oil will go into the oil filter housing, and then it's gonna drop to the max level. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Engine's running sweet, and everything is good. You can, as I said, you can check underneath if you have any drips, but normally those copper washers are very good at sealing, at closing. So I hope this really helps, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.